to another video. Welcome back. If you are joining me for the first time, hey there, I am Chelsea, the Launch Copy Coach, and today we are going to be diving into one simple way to enjoy your group program launches without losing your mind. We're going to talk about this today. I specifically help one-on-one coaches to replicate their six-figure success with a group program launch without losing their minds. And so if that's where you are, if you are a one-on-one coach, if you are wanting to launch a group program, and especially in Q1 of 2023, if you are really thinking about, okay, how can I actually get the most results from this? And maybe you've launched that group program before, and now you are thinking about, okay, I've maybe done 15, 20, 25K. Now I really want to get to 50, 75, 100K, right? So if that's where your thought process is and you've probably launched before and hated it, you've probably launched before and it has not been a pleasant experience for you. Maybe you even burned out. Maybe you were overwhelmed, stressed, just hated the entire process. But hey, Coach Kimball, but you know that you want to keep launching. And you know this because you know that it's the easiest way to increase your impact at this time, right? Because you know that it's the fastest way to increase your impact. You just know that it's overwhelming. If that's where you're at, this live is for you. We're going to dive into this today. Specifically, we're going to talk about the habits that keeps us hating our group program launches. We're going to talk then about how this habit actually keeps us stuck in what I like to call the launch burnout cycle. We're going to talk about what this one simple way is to enjoy your group program launches. And then finally, we're going to discuss how this can change everything for you. So if that sounds good to you, stick around. Let's discuss it. All right, let's dive right in. First things first, what is this habit that keeps us hating our group program launches? First, I want to say that it's a really, really vulnerable position for us to be in to put a group program launch out there. All right. One-on-one coaching is vulnerable in and of itself, but one-on-one coaching is very adaptable and very flexible, right? So if you were a one-on-one coach before you've been trying to, launch this group program, it can feel like, okay, when I was coaching one-on-one, I could just help people to create the result and customize everything for them. And it was really adaptable. Really, I could customize my process. Now with the group program, how am I going to actually get everybody, the results? Furthermore, if you were in a position where you created like six figures worth of one-on-one coaching clients, right? And now you want to replicate that success with a group program, it's even more intense because then it comes with all of the gremlins and the questions of, was that six figures actually a fluke? Did I actually do that or was I just lucky? Right? And now you have to prove to yourself and maybe even to other people, maybe your family, maybe people around you, your friends, maybe people who have like said, hey, maybe you shouldn't do this just yet, right? You have to prove to yourself, prove to them as well. There's this pressure to prove that, yeah, I'm legit, I know what I'm doing. And you also know that you are, right? Like there's the gremlins and the voices on this side of your shoulder, I guess, that are like speaking lies and making you second guess yourself. But you know that you also have created success. You know that people love to work with you. And you know that you want to scale this impact, which is exactly why you are launching. So it's just a really vulnerable time. It's a really vulnerable time. It's a really overwhelming time internally and mindset wise, right? And so because of all of that that's happening inside of you, the way that this shows up externally is grinding, is hustling, is working way past your own limits to ensure that you prove to yourself, you prove to everybody around you, and you shut those gremlins up that you've got what it takes. You know how to create six figures worth of success, whether you are launching a one-on-one program or a group program, and you're not going to fail. You are not going to flop. You are not a failure. You know exactly what you're doing. There's this pressure to prove it. And so we work and I'm not knocking hard work here, but there's a difference between hard work and sacrificing everything that is like worthwhile to us, everything that feeds us, everything that supports us in our lives in order to create a specific result. Okay? And that is what we hate. And there's a reason why we keep doing it. There's a reason why we keep grinding, we keep hustling when we are in this kind of a vulnerable position. The reason for that is because it actually feeds us. Like chemically and biologically, hustling and grinding creates a dopamine response. And if y'all know anything about neurotransmitters, hormones, dopamine, serotonin, all those things in the body, you know that we crave dopamine and we do things for dopamine. Our bodies are motivated by dopamine and by other hormonal chemicals like serotonin and yada, 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 right? And because our bodies are motivated by those things, we do these behaviors continually over and over and over again to get that dopamine high. And so chemically, we've developed this response of grinding, of hustling, of sacrificing in order to get to a specific result. And listen, this is probably not new to you. This may have actually even been going on before you decided that you wanted to launch a group program, right? It may have been the case with your one on one coaching where you had to prove to yourself that you knew exactly what you were talking about. You were a good coach, you could get results for your clients, and you were grinding and doing whatever it took in your one on one coaching practice to get those results for your clients. And hear me again, nothing's wrong with hard work, but if you are sacrificing every single thing in your life that matters to you, your rest, your sanity and your peace, your time with your family and your friends, your self-care, if you are sacrificing all of those things in order to create a specific launch result as a one-on-one coach moving into a group program, it's no wonder that you hate your group program launches, friend. And it's also no wonder that you're sacrificing those things because, again, the dopamine high encourages that behavior. It's really easy to hustle. It's hard to turn that off. It's hella hard to turn that off because your body doesn't know what to do without dopamine. It's hard to train your body to know what to do without dopamine. Furthermore, we live in a world that creates like a drive for dopamine. Like we binge watch things, we binge read things. Speaking as somebody who also does this, you might be someone who does this too, right? We eat like crazy. So and everything is convenient and quick and easy. And so we have cultivated an environment around us, period, that caters toward dopamine highs. And then this habit in and of itself is also dopamine inducing. So we create dopamine in our bodies when we do this behavior. And because our bodies are trained to do the things that give us a dopamine high, we end up stuck in this habit that keeps us hating our launches. This habit of grinding, this habit of hustling, this habit of doing whatever we got to do in order to see the results. And this habit keeps us stuck in the launch burnout cycle. And what I mean by the launch burnout cycle is we launch, we may or may not get the result that we want, right? We don't enjoy it at all, but we keep launching and we keep grinding and we keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, chasing this particular result and or chasing a particular feeling. Because here's the thing too, you can launch, like I was listening to, it's so funny, I was listening to actually one of my favorite like people to follow in the launching space, and she was talking about how she had launched something, I think it was earlier this year, and she had achieved, I think it was like $298,000 in launch revenue. And the thought in the back of her mind was not, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It was, where's the other $2,000? And that to me, I'm not saying that she's stuck in hustle and grind, but a lot of us fall into that thought process. A lot of us fall into those kinds of habits of dissatisfaction, and we end up chasing not just the revenue in our launches, but the feeling of, I want to actually feel like a success. And so we launch and we launch over and over and over again, and we're grinding and we're grinding and we're grinding, and we're really just like spinning our wheels and not getting anywhere, no matter how much results we see, and no matter how much progress we actually make. And that's dangerous, y'all. It's dangerous because that continual cycle of launching and burnout, launching and burnout, launching and burnout, it creates sustained burnout. It creates a crash over time. It creates a bodily response. So after a time, all of that dopamine actually doesn't serve you anymore. And your body cannot sustain that behavior. And so we crash. We end up in a position where we feel like, I literally can't get out of bed to do anything for my clients or my business today. And a mental health day turns into a mental health week, turns into a mental health month, because we are sick, literally in our bodies, sick, and we don't have what we need to keep going. And if you think that I am just making this up and I'm just trying to scare you, I'm not. I'm telling you this from experience because I had a client who was stuck in this same cycle. She was a coach. She was launching her group program. She launched it maybe 2 to 3 times. And every time she launched it, she was stuck in the 20 to 25K revenue range. Stuck there, no matter what she did. And I'm telling you, every single time she was launching this program, she was grinding like crazy. Her poor dog didn't even see the outside world for the entire 2 months that she was preparing and launching. She didn't meet with anybody, didn't see any of her family or friends, barely talked to anyone, was consistently in front of her screen all the time, right? Just like stuck in front of her screen 24/7, losing sleep, writing emails, losing sleep, trying to create assets for her launch, her landing page, her emails, her sales page, webinars, this, that, like all of these things, trying to make the tech work, trying to talk to the ads people, trying to do this, trying to do that. And she burnt out hard. Every time she thought about launching, she would get sick and just push through it. Eventually, she ended up in the hospital on her third launch, after her third launch, and she wasn't getting the result. She was stuck at that 20 to 25K mark. And so I'm telling you this so that you understand how this habit creates a cycle that just actually doesn't serve us. This habit of grinding and hustling and sacrificing everything to chase a launch result or a feeling of success or a validation, it does not actually serve us. It doesn't get us to where we want to go. Okay. So having said all of that, and actually I should ask if this feels familiar to any of you, like put your hand up. Hey, Rebecca, thanks for joining me, friend. If this feels familiar to any of you, if you've felt any of this before, if you've even just thought of launching and had just a real like anxious or sinking feeling in your body, it might not have been like, you might not have been like my client who got sick, right? Or even ended up in the hospital, but maybe you just feel like this sinking feeling or this anxious feeling. You feel your shoulders start to tense up. You feel your stomach start to churn every time you think about a launch. If that's you, put your hand up because you're not alone. I just want to like let you know you're not alone. I've had at least 9 out of 10 clients that come to me say the same exact thing. And Coach Kimball is putting her hand up. And like on Instagram, I feel you. My friend Rebecca on Instagram, she always calls me the launch doula, y'all. Thank you, my friend. Like seriously, it's such an easy position to end up in. And what I want to share with you today, after having said all that, is the one simple way to actually enjoy your group program launches. And what it comes down to is personal capacity and energy management. Personal capacity management and energy management. And I use the word management, and it doesn't really sound exciting. But here's why I use the word management, and then I'll kind of break down what I mean by personal capacity and energy for you. I use the word management because first things first, it takes ownership. It takes ownership of your own personal capacity and your own energy in order to actually move with it and not hate your group program launches. So it takes ownership, and then it takes actually honoring that boundary, right? It takes saying, okay, I'm going to go this far and no more. I'm going to honor what I need right now. And if that means that my goal for the launch has to change, if that means that my action for the launch has to change, if that means that this strategy is not going to work for me, or this many emails or saying this thing is not going to work for me, then that's going to have to change. We're going to have to shift because we are honoring exactly where we're at right now. So it takes ownership. It takes honoring whatever that personal capacity or energy boundary is. And then it takes actually continually practicing that. And that's why I use the word management, because it's really easy to go cross that boundary when you've developed the habit. When the dopamine is like flowing and you're feeling it, and all of a sudden you realize, crap, I've stayed up 5 hours past my bedtime. And I have client calls tomorrow, and I'm supposed to be finishing the copy for my emails, and I have a live to do. Like, do you see where we're going here? Right? So it takes not just ownership, not just honoring it, but practicing repeatedly. It takes a continual yes. Okay? You're going to screw up. This is a new habit that you're cultivating. You're going to mess up. But if you can continually say yes to owning and honoring whatever that boundary of personal capacity or energy is, that's what I'm talking about when I talk about management. Okay? And when I talk about personal capacity and energy, this one is real simple. Do you actually have what it takes to do that thing that you said you were going to do right now? Do you have the energy? Do you have the space in your brain and in your body and emotionally to show up as your best doing this thing right now? If you don't have it, then it's going to require a shift. All right? And the practice is that shift. Practicing saying yes to yourself, and which means saying no to centering all of the other things that we go after, centering the profit, centering the impact, centering the feeling of fulfillment and success, centering the validation. What you're typically doing is centering those things in your decision making. You're prioritizing those things when you launch, which is what's leading to the hustle, which is what's leading to the grinding, which is what's leading to this dopamine cycle of you repeating this behavior. If you take those things out of the center and out of the priority position of your decision making and put yourself in the middle, hey Jasmine, thanks for joining me on Instagram, friend, and put yourself in the priority position of that decision making process and put yourself in the center of that decision making process. If you can decenter those things and center yourself, deprioritize those things and prioritize yourself, then you step into the practice of actually honoring and managing your personal capacity and your energy. Okay? And this is really, I'm speaking about it in a very conceptual way, but it's literally really simple. It's that question. Do I have what I need emotionally, physically, mentally, and energetically to do what I said I was going to do right now? If I was scheduled for a live at 4:30 today, which I was, and like 2 o'clock comes around and I realize, shoot, I can't even keep up with my client work right now. I am lagging behind. I'm completely demotivated, disinterested, getting distracted by everything. It probably means I don't have what I need to show up for that 4:30 live. Okay, what can I do in order to give myself what I need to show up for that 4:30 live? Or do I need to reschedule that live and do something else? Maybe if I take a nap, maybe if I ate something, maybe if I watch a couple YouTube videos and took just a brief break, right? I did all three of those things today because I realized I didn't have what I needed energetically, emotionally, mentally to show up for this live today. I took a nap. Your girl went to sleep. All right. And it was longer than I planned. And I needed that. And now I can show up and give y'all what you need and really show up for this launch because I have honored my personal capacity, and my energy. It's as simple as that. Asking the question, answering the question, giving yourself what you need, or making the adjustments you need to make in order to ensure that you honor your personal capacity and your energy. And let me explain and break down how this literally changes everything for you. All right. Because if you are no longer killing yourself to launch, if you are actually giving yourself what you need, right? If you are resting when you need to rest, if you are hanging out with friends when you need to hang out with them, if you are going to the spa when you need to go to the spa, if you're eating your favorite meals, if you're doing your favorite things, when you know that those things will give you what you need in order to show up for your launch, you tell me, don't you think you're going to enjoy your launch a lot more? just what do you think? Actually, let me know in the comments. Don't you think you're going to enjoy your launch a lot more if you do the things that you need and the things that you love in order to really show up for your launch and see the results that you're looking for? I can tell you from experience, my clients feel that way. And Coach Kimbo said yes in the comments. My clients feel that way. Every single one of my clients who work with me, they end up in a position where they are doing a spa day or baking or just sleeping for a whole day during their launches. They're spending time with family. They're spending time with friends when they never used to do those things before, because the hustle was the habit. The launch burnout cycle was the norm. And they are finally changing the game for themselves and actually loving their launches. That client that I told you about earlier, who was so sick to the point where she ended up in the hospital from her launch, her third launch, right? We worked together and she was out of her house every single day with her pup. She was finally walking her dog, enjoying her life, having lunch with friends, like sleeping 8 hours a night, enjoying her launch and not worrying, not fussing, not hustling, not losing sleep, not sick for the first time in a year from launching her program. And as a bonus to that experience, that actual enjoyment of her launch, she way surpassed her goal. Her goal was 50K working with me. We made 62. Okay? So I share this with you so that you understand that this simple shift of managing your energy, right? This simple shift of managing your personal capacity is really, it changes the game. It absolutely changes the game. All right. And the question that it comes down to is, will this strategy, will this messaging, will this goal, will this action require, what will it require from me to become a reality? And if what it's requiring from me is too precious, it's too important, it's something that feeds me, then we say no to that. We center ourselves, we prioritize ourselves in our launches so that we can actually enjoy them. Because it's possible, y'all. It's possible. I've seen it with my clients. You can do it too. All right. If this was helpful for you, if you're thinking to yourself, Chelsea, I hear you. I want to actually enjoy my group program launch. What do I need to do? If you are on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn, all you have to do is DM me the word launch. Let's have a conversation about what your launches have looked like in the past and how you can begin to shift and change that in order to actually start to enjoy them. If you are on YouTube, there is a link that you can click, answer a few questions, and book a call with me so that we can talk about the same thing, like what your launches have looked like, have felt like, and what do you want to do differently. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today, y'all. It's getting dark. The lighting has changed. So I'm going to wrap this up. If you have any questions as well, DM me. I look forward to talking with you about how you can actually start to enjoy your group program launches again. All right. Have a great one. We'll talk soon.